Yay, you made it to Wednesday. If you did all your work yesterday, thank you for making sure that you got it done and continuing to make sure that you are still learning and still working and still getting the grade that you deserve during this time. All right, so if you clicked on this video, that means that you want to hear my beautiful voice read the notes to you out loud. So let's get started. First things first, population. So population is many individuals of the same species that live in the same area. So for example, all the humans in Chicago, right? Not all the humans, cats, and dogs in Chicago, just humans. So it's like the same species. So let's go ahead and move on to the ups and downs of population growth. A population is a group of organisms of the same species that live in a certain area. Ecologists regularly monitor the number of organisms in many populations. But why do we do this? Why do we care if the number of organisms in an area is growing or shrinking? Well, populations that are growing and shrinking can be indicators of potential problems occurring in the organism's environment and gives ecologists a heads up if something is going wrong. But it is not enough to simply know if the number of organisms in an area is going up or down. Ecologists need to know why the number of organisms is fluctuating. So one of the main questions ecologists ask themselves is this: why is a population size going up or going down? There are many factors that can cause a population size to change. But first, you must understand the basic reasons behind why a population grows or shrinks. Any population, whether it be human chipmunks, the mold growing on bread, or the bacteria living in your intestines, will grow if more organisms are being created or born than dying. If a population has more organisms dying than are being born, then the population will shrink. The number of births in a population is called the birth rate, also referred to as nativity. The number of organisms that are dying in a population is called death rate, also referred to as mortality. Thus, if the birth rate is greater than the death rate, a population will grow because there's more being born. If the death rate is greater than the birth rate, then the population is decrease in size because there are more deaths. Let's go ahead and go to this question. So the human population is currently growing at an exponential rate, which means that it's increasing very quickly. What does this mean about our births and our deaths? So does that mean that human birth rates are increasing and deaths are decreasing? Or is it that human birth rates are decreasing and deaths are increasing? 2. The mantled Howlers monkey, found in Mexico and South America, is currently considered an endangered species. What does that mean about the birth and death rate? Remember, endangered species means that there's not many of them left. Does that mean that the monkey's death rate is decreasing and their birth rate is increasing? Or does it mean the monkey's death rate is increasing and their birth rate is decreasing? Another factor that stops a population from growing is immigration. Immigration occurs when as a population approaches carrying capacity, individual organisms from that population leave and go to a new area where they can find enough resources for survival and reproduction. This obviously will cause a decrease in the amount of organisms in a population. You may have also heard of a word that has the exact opposite meaning and effect on a population size, which is immigration. Now, knowing that immigration with an I is the opposite of immigration with an E, what do you think immigration means, right? We know that immigration with an E means that organisms are leaving an area. So what do you think immigration with an I means? Go ahead and type that out. Will immigration cause populations to increase or decrease in size? All right, so remember birth rate. Birth rate is the number of births in a population. If birth rate increases in a population, what will happen to the overall population? The population will increase, or will the population decrease? Death rate is the number of deaths in a population. If death rate increases in a population, what will happen to the overall population? The population will increase, or will the population decrease? Again, here are the two definitions for immigration. So we know that immigration with an E means that the population, organisms from population leave and go to a new area. And now immigration with an I means that organisms from population enter a new area where they can find enough resources for survival and reproduction. So explain in detail the difference between immigration and immigration. Emigration and immigration. All right, so here is a graph showing us the human population growth, right? So this is 12,000 years ago, and this is us right now. And think about all the things that have happened currently. Take a look at the graph above. Write down two pieces of evidence that shows why the human population has increased. What do you think allows more humans nowadays to live longer, right? And then also just have more birds in our population. Go ahead and complete that now and then press the next button for your practice.